Welcome back. Britain has a new Prime Minister. Theresa May took office yesterday. The last few weeks have brought certainly a lot of uncertainty to the global markets, with financials taking a hit, particularly. And it comes amid broader concerns about the sector in Europe. Joining us right now is the chairman and CEO of ING Group, Ralph Hammers, joining us right now. Also with us is pollster Lee Carter joining the conversation. Ralph, it's good to see you. Lee, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Ralph, we were very much looking forward to having you this morning because there has been such uncertainty about the implications of Britain leaving the EU. Yeah. You're running a major bank. Tell us what kind of implications this brings and what changes you may have to make at the bank as a result of this.
Well, first, it's about your activities in the UK, right? All of us have activities in the UK, and through our activities in the UK, we can actually service the continent as well, the EU. And the question is, you know, what kind of deal will come out of this, and will we still be able to passport our services back into the EU? If not, you'll have to move the people and the activities back into the EU to the continent. So we all have to make a choice as to where is that going to be? Where is the next financial capital of Europe going to be if it's not London? So that's the first one. But that will take time, because for the moment, you know, the UK is part of the EU. So for the next 2 years, nothing has changed, and they haven't called Article 50 yet, so nothing is changing as we speak. But the real effect that you currently see already is for the UK citizens. This summer, all the cost of imported goods are going up 10–15%. Wow. So their living standards are going down very rapidly. For the ones who are going on a holiday in the continent, the holidays are suddenly 15% more expensive. So there's a big psychological effect right there as to, did we make the right choice here? Did we expect this to happen so quickly? So the standards of living are going down. Employers are calling for higher freezes because they're all waiting and seeing as to what is going to be next. Investments are going to be kept back. Real estate is already going down in London. Wow. So there's a lot happening at this moment.
But the pound is going to help the exporters. Is that not fair to say?
Yeah, it's certainly going to help the exporters, but it's not much of an exporting country, right? I mean,
well, 70% of the FTSE's revenues comes from exportation, so yeah, there's a chance that will help them. But you said something at the break.
The financial services part of it as well. Huh?
Yeah, well, yeah, the financial services are getting hammered. Yeah. But you said something at the break that I want to address. There's a possibility that Great Britain stays in the EU. Isn't that true?
Well, if you make the analysis and you really filter down to what have people voted against, it's not necessarily against the EU or Brussels or the European Commission. It's truly about migration.
They want to build a wall and have the Europeans
exactly.
It's
about migration story.
So it's an immigration story, and that's the discussion in every country. It's a discussion right here. So the question is, can you figure out a new deal where that is solved? Because if you truly look at the facts, they want to stay in. The real risk here is that the UK, in its negotiations, is going to be held hostage by all the other European countries, because all of them will have to agree to the new deal. But all of them have their own demands that they probably want to put into the New Deal as well.
Yeah,
so
but how important is the UK to those countries? I mean, the UK is a major customer to the EU countries. Are they really going to be playing, you know, tough with the UK, knowing that they need the UK's business?
No, they're not in the end, but they are right now.
You think they stay, Ralph?
In the end, I think there will be a deal that looks like staying.
Yeah. See that, Maria? This is important.
I want to speak
That's why the market's rallying, by the way.
Yeah.
You think that's
why the market has figured out that they're staying, and they want to build a wall and have the Europeans pay for it, but they're going to stay. And as they stay, the markets are going to continue to rally.
But I want to speak
and that'll be good for financial services.
The markets are also rallying because there is certainty. We know who the Prime Minister is. We know her cabinet. And we see that she's keeping the party together. Yeah, because she has a good mix of Remainers and Brexiteers. So that's a very good political move that she made right there. And she put the ones who were campaigning for the Brexit in the hot seats. So she says, okay, you wanted this,
you like
solve
her?
it.
Yeah, that's a really good analysis.
I think she is the right leader to take them through the next phase.
But in terms of all politicians and even business leaders around the developed world, there's a story in the Wall Street Journal today that 2/3 of 25 developed nations, the people there, about 500 million people around the world, have not seen income growth in the last decade. It's not just here. And again, it's one of the reasons that you're seeing voter revolt and sickness with the status quo. And are business leaders and politicians prepared to deal with that? Because certainly they weren't in Britain.
No, so you have this is the actual point, and that's why people have an issue with migration, with immigration, because they feel that people are taking their jobs away, right? And that
Not
in
to
combination.
mention security issues.
Sorry?
Right?
Yeah, as well, but I think that's more. That's maybe. That's more event-driven.
So it's
that's
really
not the
an
undercurrent. The
inferiority about
undercurrent
their
is really
jobs
what you're
and so
saying.
forth.
The
Yeah.
undercurrent is that over the last 20, 25 years, working class, middle class haven't sufficiently benefited in terms of a rise in standard of living from the economic development, from the globalization itself, and that's where there is where we have a responsibility as business
Like
leaders.
Jamie Dimon touches on that. That's why they're raising wages at J.P. Morgan.
And we're going to have Alan Greenspan on later on in the program. I spoke with him yesterday before the interview, and his big worry in the world is Europe, the economy of Europe.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. What are you seeing from your own business in terms of growth? Where is the growth in Europe right now?
So basically, that's the second order effect of Brexit, right? What you see right now is you had a contagion into the Italian banking crisis now. Which basically puts Renzi between a rock and a hard place. If he allows bail-in, basically he loses votes because most of the unsecured debt and the subordinated debt is held by retail investors in Italy. He doesn't want that. He has a constitutional vote to come in October, so there's uncertainty around that. On the other side, Europe doesn't want to lose him either, because if he will lose his job, a five-star movement prime minister may come in, and they're Eurosceptic. So I mean, they will not be helped even being pushed into the bail-in as a solution either. So a practical solution has to be worked out here between Italy and the EU. But this is not everything. We have re-elections coming up in Austria, which is between right-wing and left-wing.
Yeah, sure.
We have elections coming up in France, Germany, and the Netherlands. Certainly France and the Netherlands, you see this same trend coming up. So there's a lot of uncertainty as to what's going to happen in Europe, and therefore investments will be lower, consumer sentiment will be not as positive, let me put it that way. Low growth, hence low interest rates, if not negative interest rates for a prolonged period.
Very
really
tough story.
Yeah.
Do you think we go into recession in Europe?
Not in Europe, but certainly in the UK.
In the UK?
Yeah.
Wow.
Not in Europe, no.
Ralph, it's great to have your insights.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us. Good to see you. Ralph Hammers there, CEO of ING.